Tasha, are you ready to watch tonight's Democratic debates?
Yeah, I guess so. Who's supposed to be on there tonight?
So they have Julian Castro, Amy Klobuchar, Beto O'Rourke, Cory Booker, Andrew Yang, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Joe Biden.
Wait, hold on, wait. So Marianne is not gonna be on there tonight? What?
I guess she didn't
always
make the
doing
cut.
stuff like this. Oh my gosh! Like as soon as you get finally a white person to wake up and see the white supremacist matrix all around them, then they want to go sit up there and lock them in a closet or something.
It's gonna be okay, Tasha.
Man,
Wait. Where are you going? Tasha, we have a show. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Nice But Feisty. I am Mandy Nice, and before I get into reviewing the top 10 Democratic candidates chosen by ABC News, and I know Tasha has her own little thing because she's very sore about Marianne not being on the debate stage. But anyway, so usually when we go on vacation, we let you know. So we will be off for the next 2 weeks. And we also usually let you know to support some of the businesses that have also supported us. And one of those businesses, called Everything Kosher, is actually a Bahamian business based in the Bahamas. And unfortunately, their business of operations has been affected by the storm. So we will put in a link for their GoFundMe page. So this company really does work out of the Bahamas, and they're really trying to get their shop back up and running so that they can generate money for their community. So I'm going to drop their GoFundMe link in the description, as well as their regular website. And also please support a Black-owned business in New York called wokenfly.com. And I'm going to now get into my topics. Okay, so there's that. We already went over the names in the intro, so I won't do that again. But I will try to summarize and quickly go over all of the topics, because there's a lot when they addressed in the debates. And I'll try to do my darn best in the quick short time that I have, because frankly, you guys, I don't want the video to run long. All right, so the first topic that they talked about was health care and Medicare for all. Only Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren truly support a Medicare for all system, single payer, basically universal health care. Everyone else seems to have a variety of private insurance and also having a public option, if you cannot get private insurance. But I think they're looking at it as more of a way of, if you can't get private insurance, then you can get the public option. But I really kind of agree with Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, because just like a lot of small business owners out there, if the government takes over the whole aspect of health care and health insurance, it will free up a lot of businesses to have more capital that they can then fold into employee pay, so that we can get to $15 an hour for employees, instead of trying to abide by that the minimum wage that is now mandated by companies. So if you get, and plus also it would allow, especially in this consumer-based society that we have in the United States of America, our economy is driven by the consumer dollar. So if the government takes on health care and health insurance particularly, then consumers will have more money to be able to circulate within the economy, and that will actually boost the economy. So there's that. The second topic that or point in the debate was speaking about racism and how to capture the young black vote. Beto O'Rourke states that he does support a reparations bill, and I really thought that was very good because, you know, as a black woman, the black experience is not one thing. In my particular finding of our own personal family history in my family, I have indigenous people in my family, and I also have black, or what they would call Africans, in my family. And those indigenous people, which a lot of people don't realize, indigenous Americans were actually brown skinned to dark skin. That's why they called them the copper colored Indians. But I'm not going to get into that. Okay. But I will say this is that I basically have the, you know, the epitome of all of this, a whole bunch of oppression in my DNA. So Kendrick Lamar, if you have another line that you want to add to that song, you can add the epitome of oppression in my DNA. You can use it, I don't mind. Anyway, but what I will say here is that one of the things that I appreciate in this is that they do understand that there is an issue and there is a problem. And the issue and the problem is how do we rectify the original sin of the United States of America, which is indigenous and African people being enslaved on American soil. And that is only through reparations, as in cash payments or land. I know there actually the enslaved Africans were supposed to be given land, but that was, you know, if you read history, you'll understand that they reneged on the deal, and that's why a lot of black people are in the position that we're in today. So at any rate, there needs to be another reconstruction that happens in order for the United States to really rectify the damage that has been done. And that's all I'm going to say on that. They also talked about gun violence, which was the next point in the debate. Beto O'Rourke definitely stated that he wanted to come after those AR-15s and those AK-47s. I really have no problem with that particular stance. However, I will state that he may have a hard time with people getting on board with just the outright confiscation of guns, because I think what needs to be stated is that you want to do you want to have a more scientific and direct approach. So Beto, if you are watching, I would just like to give you a point of reference. State that you are only going after individuals that you know that fit those same type of profiles of mass shooters, and that you are not coming after responsible gun owners. I think that you need to really make sure that they're clear on that point, and that you're only going off of the data and the information and the actual evidence that we see of the type of people that commit mass shootings. Once you have that and you basically state that you're not targeting any responsible gun owner, and that you will not be confiscating all gun owners, weapons, and that if they're using it responsibly, then they have no problem. But I think you need to make sure that your language is clear on that, because if you do not state that and you make, responsible gun owners even a little shaky on that, then you may not get the vote. Also on that, you need to also state that because responsible gun owners, they do support, universal background checks and all of that. And I just think you just need to make your stance a little bit more, specific. Yeah, that's the word, specific. All right, let me hurry up because I don't have much time. So the next one was immigration, and they talked, a lot of these candidates talked about a path of citizenship, which I think is a what we need to kind of look at. And we also need to stop demonizing people that are trying to come to the United States of America and escaping horrendous atrocities in their homeland. And I agree with particularly Bernie Sanders when he said that we should basically try to do all that we can to help those countries to treat their citizens better, so that those people will not want to leave their home. Just like with the Bahamas, nobody wanted to leave the Bahamas. It was only because of Hurricane Dorian that any of the Bahamian people want to come to the United States of America. So we also need to understand that the immigration problem is not just a singular moment. It's all encompassing, because now with climate change, we're going to have climate refugees, just like what happened to the Bahamian people. So that kind of went into climate change, which was one of the next topics. And so climate change is a real threat, and we really need to start really aggressively going after that. I think that some of the money that is given to the military should actually go into climate change, because that is the biggest threat to national security ever. And the military has already said that. Along with bringing the troops home. Elizabeth Warren stated that she would bring the troops home, on her first day. And so I'm running out of time, but I agree with Cory Booker, and that education, it should be looked at as a holistic approach and not just a singularity. So that we need to actually look at the Clean Water and Clean Air Act, because that affects, how a child is able to actually receive information when they're trying to get a good education. I also agree with Elizabeth Warren that, back at the climate change topic, she stated that there's a whole bunch of corruption going on, and that stagnates anyone from trying to solve these issues that the entire debate was on. So all in all, the people that really stood out to me again were Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren. I think if those two people were on a ticket together, they will beat Donald Trump. Everyone else, I hope that you're a part of the cabinet. But as of right now, if you're really trying to beat Donald Trump, you definitely want to put Bernie up on that as the president. So that's it. All right. Thanks, guys. Love you. Take it away, Tasha. All right, you already know whose turn it is. And yes, I'm salty about Marianne not being on that stage, because she's the only one that sat up there and said, yes, Black people need reparations because of slavery, and we need to repair the damage that was done to their community because of slavery. So since we are on that, I'm going to start from the end and go to the beginning. Joe Biden, at the very end of the debate, was asked about a comment that he made 30 years ago, basically saying that it wasn't his responsibility to fix situations that happened basically before he was born and all that stuff. What he fails to realize is that the system that was created for people that look like him to be on top was actually created on the oppression of other people. Okay? So, based off of your privilege given to you through this system we call white supremacy, yes, it is a responsibility on you because you have unearned gain. Okay? And the fact of the matter is, ain't nobody asking for you to give up what you got. All we asking for is that you stop right now the continued oppression, which is not happening. This dude, when he was confronted about what he said 30 years ago, started acting like a malfunctioning robot. The parents need to do better, and they need to they have to say more words, and you need to put on the TV. You need to put on the record player. Dude, that had nothing to do with what they asked you. They asked you, how would you fix the legacy that is tied to slavery? And this dude, So, based off of that, we had some also moments, okay, from Amy Klobuchar when she was asked about her supporting steel tariffs. And then she went and said, oh, that's not my record. That's not my record. Really? Now we're going to just repeat what we're going to say over and over? She wasn't the only one. She wasn't the only one. So Kamala had a really good, one-liner when it came to gun violence. She said that Trump is to blame. He didn't pull the trigger, but he damn well tweeted out the ammunition. Now that was a good line. But when the moderator came at her and asked her, you have changed your position on so many things, previously, not supporting the legalization of marijuana, not supporting an independent investigation on police shootings and police brutality and situations like that. And then, she changing her mind, which is good because people evolve, which is great. But when they asked her, when you had the power, why didn't you enact change then? And she was stunned for 2.5 seconds and was like, okay. So all I got to say with all of that is that if you got any, secrets in your closet, you need to clean that mess up before you continue to go, because ain't nobody playing going forward on these debates, okay? And yes, again, like I said, I am salty about Marianne not being on that stage, because she really seemed to understand that the damage done to certain communities based off of the oppression through slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, and all of that stuff, it's not a pretend. It's actually happening, and it is continuing to happen. If you look on the news, it's not pretend that unarmed black people, whether they're male, whether they're female, or whether they're children, are getting gunned down in the streets. So right then and there, you should already understand that you're causing damage, okay? So, and by the way, ain't nobody asking for your stuff, okay? We are asking for the oppression to really just stop and let us do our own thing. Because when black people are left to just grow and develop and learn and innovate, we will find our way out of our own situations, but we need the oppression to stop. Okay? All right. So, let me see. Oh, here's my thing about climate change, because there was two things that I found very excitable about the debates. When Warren talked about the corruption, she tied in the corruption, not only stopping for the addressing of climate change, but she related the corruption all across the board. And the fact that there's so much gridlock in Congress is because of corruption. The same thing I liked, what's his name? Cory Booker. I liked his stance when he said, when it comes to the education of children, we need to look at all factors. Not, we need to look at the fact, are they under stress? Do they have, a good, clean environment? Are they getting the proper nutrition? Is their water clean? Is their air clean? All of these things. So I really appreciate that. But at the end of the night, I almost forgot. Almost forgot this shady moment right here when Julian Castro went after Joe Biden saying, "Oh, did you forget what you just said?" There was shade thrown all over that dang on stage. But they learned quick, fast, in a hurry to get off of Shade and Bernie. Because if you look, you don't want to shame that dude, because he got some die-hard voters. And if you want, I put it like this: you do not want to alienate Bernie voters, because if he does pick you, that would be a good thing as his running mate. So just be a little careful with that, Amy. But I doubt you'll be on his ticket. That's just my, that's just what I think. Anyway, so I'm gonna wrap this up. At the end of the night, here are my top two, would be Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Down below that, I really don't have, maybe Beto. Beto would probably be a good running mate. Or Julian Castro may be a good running mate. But I feel like, on a serious tip, a Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren ticket would probably most likely win against Trump. All right, that's my 2 cents on the debates. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. And I love you. Bye. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Nice But Feisty with Mandy Nice and Tasha Feisty. Ooh, ooh, yeah. Have a good one.